welcome to The Breakdown, live from the DNC in Chicago. I'm Maya May, and I am here with the Rick Wilson.
Hey, guys.
And Kamala Harris will be speaking tonight after packing two arenas 90 miles apart. What a momentous and exciting occasion that we are all about to be in. Well,
It's guys, when we tell you the energy level here has been crazy through the roof, I've never experienced anything like this in my life, and certainly nothing up the road. Last night, when they packed, or night before last, when they packed an arena in Milwaukee, the same place Donald Trump had that funereal, kooky, weird, discursive sort of ramble fest at the end of his convention. The energy level there, you could practically hear it down here in Chicago. It was so unbelievably hot, and
some of the best moments. We're going to start with Joe Biden's speech.
Yeah.
I mean, what a momentous way to pass the torch. I know it was an anticipated speech. Everyone was wondering what he was going to say and if it was going to do justice to the moment. And he absolutely nailed it.
Killed it.
Kathleen, there was a moment he didn't sing. He didn't sing because he said he's not a good singer. He spoke the lines, but we have a great clip from that. Let's watch that.
The work and prayers of centuries have brought us to this day. What shall our legacy be? What will our children say? Let me know in my heart when my days are through. America, America, I gave my best to you.
This is exactly the kind of energy that we were expecting from Biden. So.
And look, he delivered a speech. Yes, it was a valedictory about his long career in his life, but it was also a ringing endorsement of Kamala Harris and a absolute brutal TikTok slaughterhouse of an indictment of Donald Trump, point by point by point, about what a threat he is to democracy, to America, and to freedom. And it was absolutely on point.
Yeah, but the speech that everybody is talking about and can't stop talking about, Michelle Obama.
Michelle Obama. Absolutely went out there with a beautiful moment that transitioned from the old Democratic Party to the new. The old Democratic Party said, oh, when they go low, we go high. She made it very clear. When they go low, we're waiting there in the dark with a baseball bat to fight back against the people who would destroy this country. She drove him crazy, especially the line you and I talked about Donald Trump getting one of those black jobs. Because he's not.
Who's going to tell him that the job he's currently seeking might just be one of those black jobs?
There were so many applause breaks in that speech. It was like, I thought that was going to end up going the whole night because these were kind of the words that people were expecting from Michelle Obama this entire time. It's like we were ready for her to go in, and she absolutely did.
Hard.
Yeah.
Now, of course, Barack Obama, who was a guy who you also associated with that sort of uplift, with that sort of when they go low, we go high moment, he actually delivered, look, not as good as hers, but I thought he delivered a very good, condemnation of Trump. But he got down to one point, I think, that really made a difference. And it was the understanding of the psychology of Donald Trump and talking about Donald Trump's very small crowd sizes, which, of course, by that we mean the size of his junk.
There's the childish nicknames, the crazy conspiracy theories, this weird obsession with crowd sizes.
And Obama did it in a way that
didn't it remind? That's the technical term.
It's a family show. Didn't it remind you though that the guy really can bring it? His comedic performance in that little clip was bracketed by very serious points, but he made it in such a way that the house, this place came apart.
Oh, absolutely.
This place came down. The roof came down in this place.
Well, because originally Barack Obama used to need an anger translator, right? No, he wasn't allowed to be unplugged. And so this version of the Obamas, the unplugged version, is my absolute favorite version.
Absolute favorite part. And the fact that Donald Trump is now seeking one of those black jobs he talked about.
Yeah.
They both made that, in a pretty serious way. So And, I guess the one thing we really want to talk about now is last night we had a super emotional moment. Oh, first off, let me roll back on one point. A bunch of Republicans last night making the case for Kamala Harris, incredibly important in this movement and this country and the moment we're in right now, because, folks like Jeff Duncan and, came out last night and really made a case for Vice President Harris. And I think it's important that I say this. I've seen as many Republicans, now on the stage here that made a point by far than were at the Democratic convention, because you can't find Democratic supporters of Donald Trump. They're not into the whole destroy the Constitution in the country thing. So, but the big moment was Tim Walz last night.
Yep.
And
Coach Walz.
I like to think of myself as a late in life crier, but when Coach Walz took the stage last night, man, he connected with the country, connected with America. Really, I think, we saw a family truly that loves one another. We saw him say from the stage to Gwen and Hope and Gus, "You are my world."
Hope, Gus, and Gwen, you are my entire world, and I love you. I'm letting you in on how we started a family, because this is a big part about what this election is about. Freedom.
Not a dry eye in the house.
I sobbed. I'm not going to lie.
I was
sobbed.
boo-hooing.
I sobbed. And because this is the thing. This is pro-family.
Yeah.
For all that Republicans want to talk about being pro-family, they seem to have a hard time when they see truly loving families. And when you see actually not just, because it's not just Tim Walz's family, it's also Kamala Harris's family, these big, beautiful, loving families where you can see that they genuinely support each other. And you can see that energy
100%.
in the way they talk. And you can tell that really gets under the skin of apparently every Republican.
Apparently, they've really reacted very poorly to this, and they react poorly to everything because they're tough, manly snowflakes.
Yeah.
Anyway, we're going to bring on our friend of the show, Midas Touch, Burn the Boats podcast, Against All Enemies, Ken Harbaugh, our friend. Thank you, my friend, for joining us today. Coming on the show.
Yeah, thanks, Rick.
So happy to have you here. And Ken and I are dudes of a certain age, and I think we could call ourselves Tim Walz fanboys, I guess, after last night.
After last night, that gutted me, like you were just talking about. I mean, if you're a dad and saw that, you connected immediately.
Right.
And for me, I mean, a lot of people are calling Tim Walz America's dad, right?
Yep.
I think the other comparison for a lot of Americans is the dad or the uncle they might have had Fox News not existed.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. And the goodness of Tim Walz and this idea in MAGA world that the only way you're a masculine, manly man is to be, a worshiper of Trump and to fly a Trump flag on your truck and to put a Punisher skull on your truck. And Tim Walz is the kind of guy, somebody joked last night, it's like, if Tim Walz walks out with an oily rag because he just fixed the campaign bus, we're going to win 50 states. He is, I think, that's an American man with virtue and love and kindness and competence and leadership.
Yeah, and joy.
Joy, yes.
And it is such... I mean, there were a lot of questions after the pick, right? I think it was an inspired choice. And I think the two, VP Harris and Governor Walz, are just so simpatico, if around nothing else, that the idea that they're bringing joy back into American politics, and America's here for it. We're ready to turn the page.
Yeah, and
so
I
much.
think it's so much so. And so as I sat there and I'm listening to him speak, and every time I was wondering, why am I getting so emotional about this? And I'm going, this is the white man that I want to see, right?
Yeah.
This is what I have been hoping for, is this masculinity that is gentle and kind and compassionate and serves as a role model, because unfortunately when we had Trump, we have a lot of young white men looking to him and saying, he's a successful man, so therefore this is how I can be. I can behave this way. And so we saw an uptick in hate crimes. We saw an uptick in vitriol around him. And so what I believe this Tim Walz energy is going to come in and calm the temperature and offer an alternative to these young men and to these young boys. And so as fathers, I would imagine that is something that
thrilling. And as a grandfather to be, I find it thrilling. You know, I'm going to be a grandfather in like hours now, guys.
We're waiting.
Hours. We're waiting. But, you know, it's a reminder that strength isn't cruelty.
Yeah.
And cruelty isn't strength.
Yeah.
I really found it last night that as a dad and as a coach and as a teacher, I think that is something in our politics. We have missed that character.
Yeah.
I don't think we've had a lot of lawyers, but not a lot of high school football coaches.
Well, and a master sergeant. I mean, any
That's right.
any officer in the military will tell you that the beating heart of their unit was that NCO, that non-commissioned officer who held it together. And the best leaders were not the ones who slammed their fists down and yelled at their subordinates. They're the ones who inspired through leadership and lifting people up and building that sense of camaraderie and family. And that's what America is going to get in Governor Walz.
I think that's exactly right.
Yeah.
And look, it's just such a great contrast for young men.
Yes.
To not see an Andrew Tate or you know a Donald Trump Jr. or a Donald Trump as a manhood model.
Yeah.
Because you know we've got a country of young men, as you point out, that a lot of them saw like Trump is a president. I should be like that. That's not who Americans. No mother wants her son to act like Donald Trump.
Right.
No father wants his daughter to be around a man like Donald Trump.
Yeah.
Tim Walz is a guy you can trust and love and feel like that he's going to look out for them. And as you said, you know, the NCO role is underappreciated in this world.
Yeah.
Those guys are the duct tape, the glue, the baling wire that keeps the unit moving forward.
100%.
And you know, and the fact that you end up with his high school football players on stage.
Yeah.
That was such a moment.
Yes.
When that
Right?
happened, it was like the crowd went wild because
Yeah.
from a strategic perspective even, to bring out,
Yeah.
like to reclaim football, like
Yeah.
they're already reclaiming freedom.
The
We're
flag,
reclaiming the
freedom,
flag and
patriotism,
football.
strength at the border, strength
Yes.
abroad, love of the military, and football.
And now football.
Yes.
They're going to go, Republicans'
Trump's
brains
gonna
are
be left
breaking.
with weird crypto bros selling cheap shoes.
Yeah. if that, because they will definitely collapse.
Yeah,
Yes.
I mean,
yeah.
and I think Tim Walz is a great way, folks. If you're wondering how do you convince your undecided friends to think about voting for Vice President Harris and Tim Walz, show them that clip from last night.
Yes.
So this is the part, clip and save it and send it to your undecided relatives so they know. If you're a middle-class family or a family trying to get into the middle class, Kamala Harris is going to cut your taxes. If you're getting squeezed by prescription drug prices, Kamala Harris is going to take on Big Pharma. If you're hoping to buy a home, Kamala Harris is going to help make it more affordable. And no matter who you are, Kamala Harris is going to stand up and fight for your freedom to live the life that you want to lead. Because that's what we want for ourselves, and it's what we want for our neighbors.
Show them who that man is. I think it's enormously persuasive.
Yeah.
I do too.
Yeah, incredibly powerful.
Yep, for sure.
Yeah, and Tim Walz is going to face up. I want to get both of your thoughts on this. He's going to face up against J.D. Vance on a debate stage in about, 10 days now, whatever it is. Holy shit, I'm looking forward to that.
I am too. I am too.
I am too. Well, here's the thing. Kamala Harris is known for saying, "Say it to my face."
Right.
But I believe that Tim Walz has "say it to my face" energy.
Oh.
And so I know he is just waiting for the moment. I feel like J.D. Vance is going to feel like such a small person, which is one of the strategies that they're talking about here at the DNC, is making them feel small because they are small.
Right.
And so when they get on that debate stage, I do feel that J.D. Vance is going to crumble in his smallness.
Yeah. As an Ohioan, we know J.D. Vance.
Yeah.
He has
Yeah, you do.
nothing positive to say, nothing positive to bring. His vision for America is entirely retrograde, backward-looking,
Yep.
and I just don't think the American people want that.
Yeah.
They're going to render their verdicts in November, but I think that debate is going to be the clearest indicator yet of that contrast with VP Harris and Governor Walz looking forward, that politics of joy and hope
Yes.
Yep.
As opposed to Trump and Vance, who have nothing but division and hate to offer.
And I think, the authenticity of Tim Walz screams through every time you see him, hear him, watch him perform. He's a regular guy. He's never changed his name 4 times. He's never changed his personality to suit whatever group he's in at that moment. I can tell you, J.D. Vance is just not. He's an example of the declining talent pool in the Republican Party.
Yes.
If that's the best you got for your VP, get the out of here.
Yeah.
I mean, and we've talked about this before. There's a lot of talent rising in the Democratic Party that you're seeing on that stage out there. I mean, Jasmine, as I've said, Jasmine Crockett fanboy.
Yes.
I stand Jasmine Crockett. She's fast. She's quick on her feet.
Yep.
I mean, I love that.
And she's not afraid to say the thing. Like, that's what I love right now about all of these rising stars in the DNC, because they're not afraid to say what they need to say. I mean, even down to Mallory McMorrow coming out with this big Project 2025 book and slamming it down and making her voice heard. The bench runs so deep.
Pete Buttigieg going out there, every time he goes on Fox, you can see their producers are clenching their, like, oh shit, did we really invite him back? I just think the talent here is only a fraction of it's on display right now. We have some really, really bright people rising up. And you also saw the connection here to the popular culture. There's a surprise musical guest this evening that everybody's buzzing about.
Yes.
But there's a whole hour on the schedule. We don't know who it is yet. Stay tuned. But we had like stuff that was very heartrending, like the family of the Hamas hostages that were on stage last night. You had the folks who talked about the horrifying impact of the Dobbs repeal on their families. Painful, horrible impact. And look, the culture war counts, and celebrities are here in mass. Oprah last night blows people away. Who, by the way, whatever sacrifice she makes to whatever god to keep young, I'm here for it.
She looks amazing.
She looks astounding.
Absolutely amazing, and it's joy and hope, because joy and hope keeps people young. It does keep people young, and I was absolutely amazed with the fact that they were able to bring in so much positivity while at the same time making sure people don't forget about the danger of the opposition.
Right. We really did see the way to fight these days, right?
Yep. Yeah.
It's not just it's not just Trump is an authoritarian nightmare. He is, but there's also the ridicule of the movement. There's also making the people who are not like locked in Republican MAGA crazies answer the question, is this who you are?
Right.
And, as we saw from the attacks on Tim Walz's son that have been all over social media today, I want to take a serious moment here, folks.
Yeah.
But these people like Ann Coulter and Dinesh D'Souza and other MAGA activists who are attacking Tim Walz's neurodivergent son for saying, that's my dad. I hope we don't meet. And you should know the fires of hell will be very hot for you, because that is the kind of behavior where the cruelty is the point of MAGA that shows us who you really are. Really, really terrible people. Really horrifying people.
And not that we needed any more evidence of that.
But as dads,
Yeah.
watching that, my heart hurt for that family. But the family also had the best night ever on that stage.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
But you said it, Rick. The cruelty is the point, because I don't think electorally it gains them anything.
No.
It's just hardwired by this point.
Right.
That meanness is how they do politics. And we need to keep making that contrast. There have been some great moments, like the mass deportation signs versus
American
the USA
flags.
versus American flags, or the roll call. I mean, how beautiful was it to see state after state with
so
the
fun.
diversity, not just of demographics, but of culture. You had Bruce Springsteen next to Lil Jon.
Right.
And then that side by side with the RNC roll call, I'm here for that.
The RNC roll call was like a funeral march.
It was not anything anybody wanted to have to sit through.
Right.
No, it was a whole lot of no fun.
Yeah, the DNC roll call was something that I was like, I don't want this to end. We need extra states so we can keep going.
And the degree to which you saw Tim come out of this thing with a big uplift on the perspective America can have on him is, I think, amazing. Well, folks, we've got to wrap this up soon. We are delighted to be with you from the DNC. Ken, thank you for coming on the show
Thanks
today.
for
I
having
really
me.
appreciate it. Maya and I are having such a blast.
Yeah, we are.
And by the way, folks, as we mentioned last week, Trump is threatening to sue us again. And so he sent us a cease and desist letter about our ad, which he insisted we take off of the air and off of YouTube. We declined. We said no. And so actually what we did instead of being nice was we ran this new ad for Trump, which he'll be getting for the next several weeks.
The Donald Trump for President campaign hit a bunch of people this afternoon with cease and desist letters because our ads were too mean for little Donald.
Again, Donald?
Poor little baby Donald got very upset because our ads were mean to him.
This is the third time you've threatened to sue the Lincoln Project.
They should call it the Losers Project.
This time it's because we told you the truth about how your campaign was failing, broken, and dead in the water.
Wrong that you have the race sewn up. It's sad, Donald.
We told you Chris and Susie made a mistake when they bragged that Biden would stay in the race. It's embarrassing, Donald. Your whole campaign is a hot mess. You're terrible on camera these days. You just look old, tired, and fucking crazy.
The late great Hannibal Lecter.
America's just done with you, Donald. And with the political team you have,
I read it.
there's nothing you can do but lose, lose, lose.
It's not fair.
Anyway, folks, the Lincoln Project is delighted to have your help, your support. It's amazing that you guys have enabled us to keep this pro-democracy message going. So we're excited. I'm excited for tonight.
I'm incredibly excited for tonight. Don't forget to like and subscribe and share.